Day in history. Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest-serving monarch, has died overnight at the age of 96. Let's go live to Buckingham Palace. This is the scene now, where it's just gone 8:30 p.m. local time. A nation, and indeed the world, is in mourning over a truly extraordinary life and an extraordinary woman. Thousands upon thousands of people have gone to Buckingham Palace there, laying tributes, paying respects to a woman who was simply one of a kind.
Oh, bless her little tiny voice. Hello, everyone. Bit of a, well, very sad news to wake up to. Australia woke up to the news that the Queen had died. Just thought I'd do a live because we've got a lot of members of the Commonwealth in our community, and especially in England. And I thought we'd just do a little live because it's a shock. And people always say, you know, when somebody old dies, they're like, well, how was that a shock? But considering she swore in the new Prime Minister on Tuesday, and she did look frail, but yeah, it's very, very sad news. And as a result, too, we now have King Charles at the helm. Will be an interesting time. Hi, everyone. Stop Animal Cruelty and Ruth, massive hugs to you. And I was having a little chat with Stop Animal Cruelty before, and just, yeah, that it's just such a shock. And we're certainly thinking of everyone over in the UK, but and, you know, the world is mourning the loss of this woman. I mean, what an extraordinary life. And, you know, you'll always have the critics who say, oh, she was born into privilege, you know, must suck to be royals. No one in their wildest dreams would choose to be born into a family like that. And she was incredible. Like, she's been in all of our lives, especially Commonwealth countries, like very prolifically. I've been thinking, like, I keep hearing God Save the Queen in my head, and that was Australia's national anthem up until 1984. She's on our money. Our schools had photos of her. She was very much part of our world, and obviously even more so over in England and Scotland. Hi, Mandy Hall. I'll just say hello to all of you beautiful people. But Emily, my little Elizabeth heart is broken. Big hugs to you, Ruth. Stop Animal Cruelty, much love to you again. I said to her, I wish I could reach across the ocean and give you a hug when we were chatting earlier. Hi, Sketty Nonna. It is sad news, Deb. It's the end of a magnificent era. And yes, we could nitpick and pull apart her life as Queen and mistakes that she made and mistakes that she regretted, but nobody's perfect. And she became Queen at such a young age, and was out of the two sisters, I don't know if any of you watched The Crown, but out of the two sisters, she was the perfect Queen, although Margaret was the one that was all sort of showy and flashy and loved all the outfits, and was always a bit disgruntled that she wasn't the Queen. But you know, this isn't about pulling apart her career or countries like Australia debating becoming a republic. I mean, that's been going on for 2 or 3 decades now. So we're still very much part of the Commonwealth. And, yeah, it's just sad. I mean, none of us have experienced the death of our monarch. I mean, if anyone has experienced the death of another monarch, they must be very, very, very old. Long live the Queen. Hi, Trixie. It is sad news, Mandy. Hello, Scout. Yes, lots of love, especially to our members who literally felt the presence of the Queen. I mean, she came to Australia a few times, and I think 14 or 17 times, something like that. But I grew up in a household with a very passionate constitutional monarchist father. And I'm going to show some photos. I've been running around the house. I know that I've got a packet of photos of my grandparents meeting her, and I couldn't find it. I'm currently completely sorting out a room. So that room is just boxes and piles of things, you know, like, and I went everywhere I could, but I have found a few photos I can share. But yes, my father was an incredible fan of the Queen and met her, as did my grandparents. And I was just saying to my sister right before I went live, I honestly believe that the Queen was my dad's first and only true love, really. Like, he just adored her. He always had photos of the Queen. I'm going to show a photo of him just to give you an idea of the character that my father was and his love for Her Majesty. But yeah, it is such a shock, Mandy, especially after, you know, on Tuesday, all the media came out on Wednesday of her swearing in the new Prime Minister. I've got a photo of that to share. Let's bring this up. So, this is swearing in the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, only on Tuesday of this week. We didn't know her, but we did know her. And I felt a massive sense of loss. And I know, darling, and much love to you. Like we were saying earlier when we were chatting, like she felt like a grandmother in a way. Like she was ever present and reliable and there. And I loved her sense of humour. Like, I don't know if you guys saw her having marmalade sandwiches with Paddington Bear, but there was always a little bit of cheeky in her smile. And even in this photo of her on Tuesday, you can see that sort of, well, I've always felt a sense of cheekiness from her. And, you know, my heart broke when Prince Philip died, and the footage of her sitting on her own at his funeral during COVID at its, you know, height, and just sitting alone. And that was a heartbreaking photo. And when Prince Philip died and we went live about that, just the partnership that they had and the thought of her sort of soldiering on for years to come without him seemed unlikely. And a little bit of me, I think some of you will remember too, when I've covered Meghan Markle, I said, you know, how can you do this to a woman who's had such an incredible life and a career, and, you know, she doesn't deserve this at the end of her life, to be caught up in all these sort of family scandals and so on. But she soldiered on as dignified as ever. To those talking about privilege, I just said, like it or not, the Queen is a significant part of world history. I mean, 70 years, like, wow. And everything that she lived through, and not just, she wasn't just looking out for her own country when there were disasters and things like that. Like the entire Commonwealth, you know, she was always running to countries that needed a boost, and she would boost, you know, people would feel amazing after the Queen had visited. 75% of Australia's population went out to see the Queen when she came here in 1954. 3/4 of a country's population lined the streets. Like, yeah, she was sort of, it just, I don't know, I guess we just felt there was always that reliable grandma kind of figure, you know, looking out for all of us. It feels like losing a grandparent. Hi, Mr. Jen. Sad news. I quite like the old bird. Yeah, I liked it too. You remember waving flags as a child when she came to your village? It was so exciting. Funny enough, you should say that. One of the photos that I've got lined up to share with you, like I said, my dad was a hardcore constitutional monarchist, but one of my favourite, even though he met her and Prince Philip, and I've even got a photo of him with King Charles to show you. But this is one of my absolute, hi, Emily. You can't even speak about it. Much love to you, gorgeous. It's just, yeah, we're in shock. We are in shock. I love the moments with her grandsons too. I agree, Mandy. Her health has suffered after Philip and the crap with Andrew and Harry and Meghan. I know. I felt the same way, Mr. Jen. But this is one of my favourite photos of my dad, just the absolute jubilation. That's him. He's waving an Australian flag, the Union Jack, and a Tasmanian flag. This is in 1988. It's the bicentenary of Australia when the Queen and Prince Philip came out. But he was just so besotted with her and drummed into us the love that he had for her as well in our house. I think there was a photo of her in pretty much every room, even when he was old at the end of his life and he went into hospice care. You know, the Queen was up on the wall. He was just besotted with her, loved her to bits. But I just love that look of love in his face, and I think that sums up the effect she had on so many people, and everyone felt connected because she was always there. I mean, she's everywhere, you know. Like I said, we sang God Save the Queen as our national anthem up until 1984. She's on our money. She was just kind of, I've got a Union Jack cushion on one side and an Australian flag cushion on the other side. I've got a cushion. This was my dad's. I've got a Union Jack tea towel as well, and it's falling apart, and I haven't repaired it yet because it kind of was falling apart when Dad was still alive. But this was his most favorite thing, one of his favorite things. So yeah, the Union Jack on one side and the Australian flag on the other, and it's got sunny fluff on it because she sleeps on it. It's her favorite spot. And my connection to the Queen is tiny. I wanted to go live because I know some of you must be absolutely heartbroken, and thought I'd just offer a little space where we can share our feels. The world feels all of your pain. Her Majesty is such a very big part of history and a part of everyone's lives. She'll never be forgotten. Hey, Susie. Yes, R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth. You put a flag up in your dad's room in the nursing home. He looks at it all the time. He can't really speak anymore, but he looks at the flag all the time. Bless. Hi, Savannah. Yeah, my dad was just absolutely besotted, and I will try to find the photos. There's a beautiful photo of my grandmother meeting the Queen and just this gorgeous smile on both of their faces. It's just someone just captured a really sweet moment. But this will also give you a bit of an idea of how much of the character my dad is. Some would even say he was a little bit eccentric. Not that way. My mushroom soup. So this is the only one I managed to find while I was trying to pull my house apart to find. I know that I've got lots of photos of my grandparents meeting the Queen as well, but in this photo, obviously, there's the beautiful Queen Elizabeth II, and that man in the background with the big grin on his face, that's my grandfather, my dad's father. And this was in 1954 when she came to Tasmania. So that's a pretty special one, but I will continue I know I've got this folder. I know what it looks like, what color it is, and I couldn't find it because I'm totally sorting out a room at the moment. I've pulled everything out of the built-in robes. It's like, you need to go through everything, and if you don't use it, it doesn't bring you joy. You're Marie Kondoing it the fuck out your door. But when I find the folder, I'll definitely share those photos. I'm one of those crazy Americans that are totally obsessed about the Queen and the family and their possessions and their homes and the pageantry. It's romantic, and I love the old-fashioned side of it. And it just provided this sort of, I don't know, this sort of magical world and realm, I guess. These people that were just born into these roles and what they. I mean, one thing I really liked about the Queen is that she was never political. Like, no one would ever be able to say with confidence what her political feelings or views were. And then, you know, when they came to Australia, like whether it was Charles and Diana or the Queen or whatever, like just having them visiting, it was the whole country would just go nuts. Plus, we'd all watch on, like I remember the Queen's Silver Jubilee, and watching all of the pageantry and stuff. And yeah, it's just a different world, like all the tiaras and the crowns and the outfits. And yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, really. It's almost like a real life fairy tale. I mean, it's not really when you think about what they go through for them, but I guess as a kid, like you're reading books about kings and queens and you've actually got a queen. Yeah, very special for my family. Hey, Joey. Yeah, I had a little dig at her earlier too, but I don't want to go into that. We'll do that another time when it's not such fresh, sad news. But no, I did mention that too. I was live saying this is a horrible thing to be putting this woman through. Like, she's at the end of her reign. She's had an incredible life. Then Prince Philip died, and there's Meghan just, and not well. I mean, Andrew too, let's be honest. Seeing the Queen always made me smile. That spark of mischievous personality showed on her face. Am I the only one that thinks Charles lacks personality? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Interestingly, people who have met King Charles and Camilla, always say Camilla's fabulous. They love her. But yeah, he's a bit of a dweeb. I don't know if I can say that now. He's our king. I retract that statement. Apologies, Your Royal Highness. I know, and swearing in the new Prime Minister on Tuesday this week, and now she's gone. I loved her beautiful garden. I loved her love of animals, her horses and her corgis. Hey, Aussie Trisha, it is. It's a very sad day. God, 2022's taken some good people and some really good women, you know. Enough, 2022. If you've got a heap of amazing people, you can stop now. That's it. No more. No more. I agree. She did deserve better. I mean, we'll do a live about that one day because I really want to go live about it because I actually don't think Harry is to blame. I'm kind of seeing, it's like watching Depp v. Heard, watching those two. I love the love story between Queen Victoria and Albert and Queen Elizabeth and Philip. Edward and Wallace is fascinating. It is. It is. They haven't put out details about that, Savannah. We don't know, but something happened pretty quickly because she was swearing in the new Prime Minister only 2 days ago. No, he immediately becomes the king, and then they'll do the coronation, is sort of like the official swearing in. But as soon as the monarch dies, there's automatically a new monarch. So yeah, he's already being referred to as King Charles. Speaking of, oh, that's Mum and Dad and Prince Philip. Here's the photo. That's my dad on the left, and there's King Charles. And once again, Dad just absolutely ecstatic to be in the presence of royalty. I mean, I've never met a constitutional monarchist more passionate than my father, ever. He just absolutely loved the royals. Take certain other non-royal, Oh, no. Joey, come on. We've lost the Queen. This is a little live to just have a chat about her. But I definitely do want to talk about those other people at some point. I just think today is more about the Queen. And I think that's the last photo. Oh, no. This is proof of how besotted my father was. I mean, does anyone else have a father that actually proudly would be photographed holding his much loved, and I think I've got some of Dad's artwork here. I don't know if I've actually got the portrait of the Queen or whether my brother or sister has it. But that was a photo that was attached to some news story about, I think it might have been when the Republican debate was firing up in Australia about Australia becoming a republic, not the Republican debate, the Republic debate. And that was Dad taking his stance as, you know, a firm constitutional monarchist, that he was very anti-Australia becoming a republic. Thanks for clearing that up. I imagine people will whine about how much the coronation... Oh, the people will always whine, but it's just not the day, is it, really? So yeah, that's my family's, or my father in particular's, connection with the royals. But yeah, I'll keep trying to find that picture's adorable. What a gem. He was unique. He was definitely a character. And if I can find the photos of my grandma and grandpa meeting with her as well, I'll put them up on my community page, because it's a really special photo of these two women that were very strong influences in my life. Excuse my rudeness, but what positions did your parents have? They had so many encounters with the royals. I'm from a family of politicians. So yeah, there's been politicians in my family since the 1890s in Tasmania. And my dad, well, my grandfather was a very prolific state politician and president of the Legislative Council, and my dad was a federal politician, and one of his portfolios was Minister for the Australian Capital Territory. So he was sort of like, in Australia, cities have or states have governors and cities have Lord Mayors, but Canberra doesn't. And so, which is our capital, national capital in the Australian Capital Territory. So when Dad had that portfolio, he was kind of like the governor of the ACT, I guess. So he was often the person at the forefront of meeting dignitaries when they arrived in Australia. And look, my dad kind of possibly also stalked the Queen a little bit. I mean, not literally, but, you know, if the Queen was around, he would go out of his way to make sure that he was there, to even just to see her passing by. Hey, Dad, very proud. Yes, very proud. You think that Australia might become a republic now? I've heard people say it would happen when the Queen passes. I think it's unlikely. It has to go to a referendum. I don't know. I mean, it'd be really tacky if they sort of start ramping that up today, or, you know, in the next couple of days, because it's kind of petered out, didn't it? Like, there was a lot of what's the word? There was a lot of activity about Australia becoming a republic for a long time, and then it just sort of petered out. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, when I was younger, I was very pro-Australia becoming a republic, because I just thought, you know, what's the point of the royal family? Like, they're not really actively, I mean, they're sort of our figureheads, and yes, she's on our money and so on. But as I've gotten older, I've become quite the fan. I like being part of the Commonwealth. I love the Commonwealth Games. I love all the things that go on between the Commonwealth countries. I love that we've all got that connection and tie. Like, the older I'm getting, the more I'm into it. So I don't even know if I would vote for Australia to become a republic now. I haven't really thought it through that seriously, but yeah, I don't know how I feel. But I definitely feel more, I guess, pride, and I like being part of the Commonwealth and having monarchs. It's all that sort of old historical tradition stuff, I guess, that becomes more important to you the older you get. And I've kind of lost that little rebellious streak of, yeah, let's break away and become a republic. And I think it's nice having a queen and now a king. Oh, Francesca, hello, beautiful. Oh, that's sad too. Much love to you, beautiful. Nice to see you too, gorgeous. You reckon they'll take it to a vote next year? I guess watch this space. It'll be interesting. I mean, the Queen spoke about the Republic debate and, you know, she was very much aware of it at the time, but I don't know. And what will motivate it? Like, will it be reignited because they're like, we kept it on the back burner out of respect to Queen Elizabeth, but now that she's gone, let's fire it up again? Or is it going to be a Charles sucks, let's ramp it up again? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going to motivate it? Oh, Scout too, yeah. Much love to you, Francesca. Hello, Saint Ratty. Yeah, I want William as king too. I grew up in Canada and live in Australia. I can't imagine not living in a commonwealth. Yeah, it's you know, back in the day when I was like, yeah, we should become a republic, I really didn't think it through. And I was really sad when Prince Philip died, especially for the Queen. And now she's gone. And I was really sad when the Queen Mother died because I loved her. And I was sad when Diana died. Diana died the same day as my grandmother. So I was gutted about my grandmother and everyone else was gutted about Princess Diana. And that was a weird day. That was a weird day. No, we won't see another queen in our lifetime unless there's some kind of huge disaster. And that's kind of nice, you know, that we've had our queen and now let's see what it's like having a king. I kind of like that she'll be the only queen in our lifetime. Oh, much love, Francesca. We're always here for you. You know that. St. Ratty doesn't care either way. You think they kept it quiet out of respect for the Queen? I don't know, because they invested a lot of money in, you know, their publicity and everything, and they hired consultants, and there's a lot of money poured into that. So, I mean, I do think some people felt that way, but it'll be interesting, won't it? Like, there's a whole new era. We're on the precipice of it. We'll see what happens. What else was I going to share? I'm going to, it won't be a very long live. I'll just share ABC News Australia. They're just doing like a rolling coverage because that might bring up some things to discuss as well. Where's it gone? Okay. Here we go.
I think what your other guests have said, I think people don't realize what a wonderful sense of humor she has as well. We all remember that video with Prince Harry when he challenged the Obamas to the Invictus Games, and the Queen participated with him, and Harry dropped the mic at the end of the video. I think that really humanized who she was. I mean, she was a figure that everyone was in awe of for creating the Commonwealth, for creating unity in 1952. As she created the Commonwealth and today. And that's something I think that people really hold in high stead here in the United States and indeed all over the world.
Carol and Joanne, thanks for joining us this morning as we absorb the news here in Australia and, as you say, right across the world. I appreciate your reflections.
Thank you.
Juliet Reedon and Lorna Dunkley are still with us. Juliet, back to you as somebody who covers the royal family.
That was so weird because I was like, why is there an American accent and who is it? I mean, not that Americans aren't grieving the loss of the Queen, but, you know, I wasn't expecting an American to be doing commentary. Yeah, I used to love the Queen's outfits too. Your auntie's 96. Wow. She did. She wore beautiful colours. And her relationships with her grandchildren was so much fun, especially, yeah, Harry. The mic drop was funny. That's a great idea. I'd love to do a panel. I've got a few things, unfortunately, I have to do today. I really just wanted to go live and have a little bit of a chat about it because it is the end of an era. And, yeah, may she rest in peace. She certainly deserves to after the life she had. We'll just play this for a little bit longer and then wrap it up. Your mum's 92. Her mum's going. It is sad, Aussie Tricia. Much love to you too. Yeah, interesting question, Savannah. I suspect she will. I mean, she's going to have to be there to be with Harry, you know. And they were at some of the recent Jubilee celebration. So I mean, they got a bit of a cold shoulder, but I suspect that they will definitely be there. I mean, Harry obviously, and Meghan doesn't let Harry out of her sight for a second. So yeah, well, that's good. I like that you have that opinion, say, Raddy. I think we definitely should chat about it. I know Joey's keen to. I just thought we might not go. I get distracted and go down rabbit holes when I just want to focus on a topic. I do it all the time. But it'd be good to have a discussion about that at some point as well. I'll just play this for a little bit longer.
Few days, but don't forget, Michael, as well, the UK has been in somewhat political turmoil for the last few months, and the new Prime Minister only took office a couple of days ago, so the logistics of that are very difficult too. I just want to say one other thing, and that's about the royal family as a family. We reflect on the Queen and we talk about her incredible life, but they've lost a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and from all of my experiences of being around the royal family and covering them, they are a very tight unit, and they will be in such grief and pain at Balmoral this evening. The fact that the senior royals were able to get there last night and be with the Queen will mean a lot to them. And with other things going on in the royal family's life over the last few years, the tensions that we've been told about, this will be a moment of coming together, an enormous grief for the royal family.
Juliet, I'm wondering whether, given I'm just looking at all those crowds and thinking about a funeral that is going to be the like of which we've never seen, what kind of tinkering there might be to those plans, given that we're still in the throes of a pandemic. And I wonder, you know, we remember
those beautiful emeralds.
Brutal picture of Queen Elizabeth herself sitting solo at Prince Philip's funeral, and while we're not at that point, there are still health considerations to be taken into account. So are you aware of how much tinkering they might have been doing to the plans?
I'm not actually, Lisa. I don't think...
I'm not really fussed about speculation about the funeral plans. That was the Queen meeting our former Prime Minister, Julia Gillard. But I just wanted to point out something that's very apparent in a lot of this is so sad. This is her at Prince Philip's funeral. It's heartbreaking, but having to sit on her own. But I think, too, it was such a show of solidarity for all the other families who'd lost family members to COVID and had to grieve alone as well. But isn't it interesting when you look at footage of her and at official duties and stuff, there's always in photos like that one where they were all posing for the photo, like it's a sea of men with her sitting at the front, and she's the most powerful person in that photograph. It was extraordinary, you know, especially considering the era, especially when she was younger, when she was queen, and she was having to meet with people like Winston Churchill and all these incredibly powerful men. I mean, how intimidating. It's scary enough when you have to meet your powerful male bank manager, let alone all of these, you know, politicians and world leaders. Incredible.
There were so many things that were constant with Queen Elizabeth, weren't they? And the Christmas message was one of them.
Oh, I loved the Christmas
1947, around
message.
the time of her 21st birthday, the then Princess Elizabeth issued a rare public statement pledging to devote her life to the crown.
If we all go forward together with an unwavering faith, a high courage and a quiet heart, we shall be able to make of this ancient commonwealth, which we all love so dearly, an even grander thing, more free, more prosperous, more happy, and a more powerful influence for good in the world than it has been in the greatest days of our forefathers. To accomplish that, we must give nothing less than the whole of ourselves. There is a motto which has been borne by many of my ancestors, a noble motto, I serve. Those words were an inspiration to many bygone heirs to the throne when they made their knightly dedication as they came to manhood. I cannot quite do as they did. But through the inventions of science, I can do what was not possible for any of them. I can make my solemn act of dedication with the whole empire listening. I should like to make that dedication now. It is very simple. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong. But I shall not have strength to carry out this resolution alone, unless you join in it with me, as I now invite you to do. I know that your support will be unfailingly given. God help me to make good my vow, and God bless all of you who are willing to share in it.
Then Princess Elizabeth becoming queen.
She was just a baby. She was a baby. Imagine being thrust into that, you know. So again, like the people that are already saying, oh, she lived a life of privilege, it's not sad. Like, imagine being born into that. It's unfathomable. And she was, and she lived a long life, thankfully, when she said, no matter how long or short I live, she lived an incredibly long life. And yeah, she was a constant. So yeah, it's a very, very sad day. Queen Elizabeth has died aged 96, and much love to everyone, because I know it is something that it's one of those events again that we will always remember where we were and what we were doing. I mean, I woke up to the news with all of the Australian population, and it was actually weird how I found out. There was a notification on the front of my phone of a YouTube creator that had gone live, an American one, saying, let's talk about the Queen, something like that. And I was like, tell me the Queen hasn't died. So then I went straight to the news, and of course the sad news was true. But much love to everyone. I know that we're all feeling a little bit like we lost a grandma today. But what an incredible life. And I don't think in our lifetimes, well, we can't, like 70 years as Queen, but we're never, I don't think, going to in our lifetimes have another woman in our world who can come even close to Queen Elizabeth. So I hope she finds Philip, if there's a world out there that she can reconnect with him. And she's also free now of this massive responsibility that was thrust upon her as such a young girl. and she performed with dignity and grace. Yes, she made mistakes along the way. We all do. She even spoke about the regrets that she had. But I think at the end of the day, she was incredible, and what a life. And her funeral is going to be very sad, but I think there'll be lots of celebrations too, because when people say it was a life well lived, it's definitely true of her. Thank you, everyone, for coming in, and I hope that you've got good tissue supplies. It's okay to cry. I know you're sad. Stop Animal Cruelty. She's going to be missed for sure. And even just, I mean, I just grabbed a 20-cent coin and just seeing her on our money, and she's very present still. But yeah, thank you for joining, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you all have a very gentle day, and we'll see you all again very soon. I might just end with this.